This is Seattle's Morning News. Dave Ross with Heather Bosch, who's in for Colleen O'Brien. And joining us now, the host of CBS's Face the Nation, Margaret Brennan. Margaret, the Mueller hearing, he warned the Democrats he would add nothing new and certainly delivered on that. And even as he reconfirmed the Democrats' talking points, saying, no, it wasn't a witch hunt, it seemed to come across as feeble. Are the Democrats sorry that they forced this?
I haven't heard Democrats say they are sorry at having the special counsel basically read aloud some of his findings that were in that already published Mueller report. But there has been parsing of the strategy. Should he have been put before the Intelligence Committee instead of the Judiciary Committee right out of the gate? You know, maybe if he had talked more about the thing he was passionate about, which is his concern and his finding that Russian interference in the 2016 election was wide-ranging, systematic, and really worrisome to our democracy. He said that, in fact, is the reason he accepted the job in the first place. He was very passionate on those topics. He stuck to the text of the report itself on the politics of it. That's where you heard Democrats really pushing to try to build the case that, there have been multiple prosecutions of individuals around the president due to various different violations of the law, and that in and of itself proves this wasn't a witch hunt. While he could not have prosecuted a sitting president, Mueller's point that prosecutions are possible after leaving office is something that Democrats keep drawing attention to.
So where does this leave us? I think Nancy Pelosi was waiting to see whether this would make a clear case for impeachment. I think it's clear at this point that it did not move the needle there. So is that whole effort dead?
It's not dead. There are still a number of Democrats who support this idea of impeachment, but they supported it before Robert Mueller even finished his investigation. As a matter of principle, they've been arguing that the president was somehow guilty of high crimes and misdemeanors, and they were sort of waiting for the evidence to back up their conviction in their own minds. But when it comes to the political judgment on impeachment, Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, has remained steadfast to say that it is basically not a fight worth taking if you can't win it. She's looked at the numbers in the Senate and says, look, the Republican majority there means you won't get a conviction. You could get the House to impeach if you persuade enough Democrats to go along with it, but it doesn't actually oust the president from office. She's looking at the calendar and she's arguing the best way to oust the president from office is to actually win the election in 2020. She wants her caucus to go home for the summer this week and talk about the things that matter to the American people. She doesn't want to be talking about impeachment. She wants to be talking about health care. She wants to be talking about economic disparities, the things that might persuade voters to go into the booth and do something different in 2020 than many did in 2016. Remember, it was those swing Democrats, the blue dog Democrats, many of them, who tried out President Trump in 2016. She wants to persuade them to come back to the Democratic Party in 2020.
What will their message be on immigration? Because I see that there is a real division among the Democrats over which way to go on this, with some of the moderates concerned that the looser border policies being pushed by the progressives, led by our own Pramila Jayapal, in fact, might actually create a rush to the border, which would be a disaster were that to happen in an election year.
Right. It's interesting because typically if you are a freshman of any party coming to Washington, you don't get the kind of megaphone that these brand new members have been handed. They are certainly disrupting their own party. They are certainly, in many ways, changing headlines and drawing a lot of attention towards ideas that are far more liberal than mainstream Democrats. Part of that is the internal fighting within the party about what it means to be a Democrat these days. Politically, there's very little actual follow-through on changing the law, change that the president wants to see or that Democrats want to see. Remember, this isn't just about a fight over ideas and who can go more to the extreme right or left. It's about finding compromise. That's why the system was designed this way. So staking out these matters of principle on the extremes makes it impossible to actually legislate. But the thing that matters most to voters is health care, health care, health care. That's what the Democrats should and want to be talking about, according to Speaker Pelosi.
Margaret Brennan, host of Face the Nation. Her guests this Sunday include Senator Mark Warner and White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney.